At 8 a.m. local time, polling stations open in Iran to begin the presidential election. Latest report from the Election Commission announced that polls will stay open for 2 more hours. The United Nations organization warned again about the high risk of famine that threatens the entire population in the Gaza Strip due to the Israeli attacks. And China's President Xi Jinping announced new measures to strengthen Global South cooperation and promote a new world architecture. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Friday, at 8 a.m. local time, polling stations open in Iran to begin the presidential election. This way, the supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, while voting in the city of Husayniyya, called on the more than 61 million voters to cast their ballots to achieve a historic and massive participation. In this sense, local authorities stressed that 59,000 polling stations open on time to a calm electoral environment. In the meantime, the latest report from the Election Commission announced that despite the process being set to close at 6 p.m. local time, polls will stay open for 2 more hours.
God willing, I'll definitely vote because it's a right given to me. If I don't use it, then I will be unfair to myself. I must vote so that I, not outsiders, can have a role in the destiny of my country.
We're going to learn more about the 4 presidential candidates running for the top government position at the Islamic Republic of Iran. To start, let's review some highlights of Saeed Jalili's political career. Jalili officially started his diplomatic and political career in 1989 at the Iranian Foreign Ministry. In 2001, he was Director of Policy Planning for the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. Between 2007 and 2015, he served as Secretary of the Iranian Supreme Security Council. During 2015, he opposed to the nuclear deal with 6 world powers. In addition, Jalili was a presidential candidate in 2021, but withdrew in favor of Ebrahim Raisi, who was the Iranian president until his death on May 19, 2024. Let's see more about the political career of Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf, one of the country's leading political figures. He was announced as one of the 6 candidates after evaluation and approval by the Constitutional Council of Iran. A founder of the Islamic Students Association, Kalibaf's political career includes his election as mayor of Tehran in 2005 for a 12-year term. He has also served as a Speaker of the Iranian Parliament since 2020, getting re-elected for a position a few weeks ago. The present polls are not the politician's first, as he also ran for the position in 2005 presidential elections and then again was a candidate in 2013, but lost to Hassan Rouhani. In 2017, Kalibaf announced his run for a 3rd time, but withdrew in favor of late Ebrahim Raisi's candidacy. With his background and on the last day of registration, the politician submitted his candidacy for the current elections. We continue with Masoud Pezeshkian. Born in 1954, he was a PhD in medicine and general surgery from Tabriz University. He was appointed health ministry from 2001 to 2005 during former President Khatami's term. From 2016 to 2020, he served as first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He has previously run for the elections in 2013 and 2021. In 2013, he resigned in favor of Ayatollah Ali Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, while in 2021, the Guardian Council didn't pass him as candidate. Finally, let's review the profile of candidate Mostafa Por Mohammadi. He started in the Islamic Revolution when he was 20 years old, ascending to the position of prosecutor of the Court of the Revolution of Masjid Soleiman, position that he held until 1985. He served as Minister of Intelligence and later between 2013 and 2017 as Minister of Justice. He is currently a member and political secretary of the Society of the Fighting Clergy, an organization of the Osularan Current, the conservative wing of the Iranian political system. The United Nations organization warned again about the high risk of famine that threatens the entire population in the Gaza Strip due to the Israeli attacks. The Office for Food and Agriculture warned about the seriousness of the humanitarian crisis in the territory of the Gaza Strip. According to the most recent report, more than a quarter of the Palestinian population in the region is facing a situation of catastrophe and food insecurity due to the destruction of infrastructures and land for livestock farming. The United Nations estimates that the crisis will continue to escalate as long as the Israeli incursions and bombardments continue to prevent the entry of humanitarian aid. In this sense, the Office for Women's Affairs of the United Nations alerted that there are 557,000 women in Gaza suffering from food insecurity. A study in the area has determined that many mothers and adult women gave priority to feeding other people, such as children, the elderly, or pregnant women. Many skip meals or reduce them especially to ensure the children's intake. In this context, more than 80% of the women in Gaza currently depend on food aid. The United Nations reports that Gaza needs aid in the face of severe medicine shortages. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency UNRWA for Palestine refugees issued an urgent statement highlighting the pressing needs for medical care in Gaza, affected by the violent Zionist occupation. The United Nations agency warns that power outages caused by fuel shortages are putting the lives of critically ill patients at risk, including newborns, people on kidney dialysis, and those in intensive care. In addition, the UNRWA reports that the extraction of groundwater, the main source of water in Gaza, has dropped dramatically by more than 50%, from 35,000 to only 15,000 cubic meters per day. On Thursday, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre confirmed that the Nordic country will accept and treat Palestinians injured as a result of the Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. The announcement comes after the World Health Organization, together with the European Union, said that 9,000 Palestinians need urgent medical evacuation by the end of 2024 amid a brutal Israeli offensive in Gaza. Norway will participate in the international effort to help Palestinians in urgent need of hospital treatment. In addition, the Nordic country will contribute to airlifting Palestinian patients to other countries. According to the Norwegian Prime Minister, the humanitarian situation in Gaza is catastrophic and its health system has collapsed. And last month, Norway officially recognized Palestine as a state. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Argentine Chamber of Deputies approved on Friday the law of bases proposed by President Javier Milei, which may enter into force since it was previously endorsed by the Senate. The vote resulted in 147 votes in favor, 107 against, and 2 abstentions after more than 12 hours of debate. The initiative was supported by the ruling party Liberty Advances and most of the right-wing friendly opposition. For their part, leftist opposition, Union for the Homeland, and the Left Front, in addition to the 2 socialist deputies of the province of Santa Fe, voted against it. The outcome represents the first legislative success for the president, who after more than 6 months of government succeeded in getting Congress to approve an initiative that is fundamental to his political project. The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, held a meeting with several journalists about the failed coup d'etat against his government. In statements delivered from the Casa Grande del Pueblo, the president made comments related to the failed coup attempt led by former Army Commander General Juan José Zúñiga. In his speech, he reviewed the events which threatened to destroy democracy in Bolivia, comparing the violence generated during this act with previous actions. He also highlighted the conviction of the members of his cabinet in the defense of the democratic process in Bolivia. The press conference concluded with a round of questions from several journalists. journalists.
We took the decision to go down and to face those who were heading this failed coup attempt. We faced them. I had the command button that characterizes me or characterize the general captain of the armed forces that is also used in the public acts. I take the button, I go down to be able to face to those who were heading the coup operation. To the three commanders, I order them to stand down. And to General Zúñiga, I ordered to redeploy all the forces, all the military forces that were deployed there in Plaza Murillo.
The Minister of the Presidency of Bolivia, Marianela Prada, also gave details about the attempted coup carried out by former Army Commander Juan Zúñiga against President Luis Arce.
Entonces, cuando logra abrir las puertas del Palacio Quemado,
then, when he managed to open the doors of the Palacio Quemado, what happened is that there was our president. I was with him, and he tells me, "Comrade, I'm going to face Zúñiga, and I'm going to do it to avoid a bloodshed, assuming all the consequences." And those are the images that are made public. The vice president went with the president, and I also went with the president, and we went down. When Zúñiga was already entering the presidential palace to later seize the Casa Grande del Pueblo, and our president confronted him directly, the first thing he told him was, the president was holding the baton of comrade deliverer to him as president. And he says, "As you Captain General of the Armed Forces, I order you at this moment to demobilize the troops, demobilize the armored vehicles that have in Murillo Square, and comply with our constitution and don't put the Bolivian people at risk."
On Thursday, the Peruvian Public Prosecutor's Office filed a constitutional complaint before Congress against former President Pedro Castillo. This complaint comes days after the Constitutional Court declared inadmissible a habeas corpus lawsuit filed by the defense of the former Peruvian head of state, seeking his immediate reinstatement as president of the South American country. The new complaint accuses Castillo of allegedly committing the crime of incompatible negotiation or taking undue advantage of the position and illegal appointment of the detriment of the state. Pedro Castillo has been detained under preventive detention since 2022, when he was ousted amid massive demonstrations in support of his government that were violently repressed by now President Dina Boluarte. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, extended an invitation to U.S. entrepreneurs to invest in the country's oil fields. From Petro Boscan, southeast of the capital of Zulia state, one of the oil Venezuelan poles, the head of state highlighted the good health of oil production. Currently, this facility alone produces 86,000 barrels per day, which at the end of 2024 will reach 96,000 barrels per day, according to projections. Maduro assured potential partners that invest in the Venezuelan oil industry is warranted on account of the high qualification of its workforce, among other factors. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, the first presidential debate of 2024 between Joe Biden and Donald Trump took place on Thursday in the city of Atlanta. For the first time, a sitting president and a former convicted president faced off in front of millions of viewers in an early discussion ahead of the national conventions of the Democratic and Republican parties. A third candidate was vetoed. Independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did not meet the threshold required by organizers to occupy the podium. Biden and Trump came to the debate with a tie in the polls at the national level, but with the Republican ahead in most of the states that will be key in the November elections. In Colombia, at least 10 people were killed by heavy rains that hit the department of Antioquia in the northwest of the country. The heavy rains have also left 11 people missing and caused considerable material damage in the region. The authorities informed that the last incident left 2 minors dead and several families affected in a landslide in the municipality of Abriaqui. For its part, the government of Antioquia set up a unified command post to monitor the situation, attend to all the roads affected by the landslides, and make progress in the emergency work generated by the heavy rains. Meanwhile, in Peru, at least 3 people have been reported injured after a strong earthquake of magnitude 7 was registered early morning on Friday in the southern region of Arequipa. In regard to the event, the Geophysical Institute reported it was felt in several districts of the capital, Lima. Afterwards, the Navy issued a tsunami warning that authorities assured had a preventive nature and is intended to keep the citizens away from the coast. So far, 2 aftershocks have been registered, none greater than 4.2 in scale and with no risk of tsunami. The mayor of the province of Caravelí, Roberto Soto, confirmed that the quake caused severe structural damage to public and residential buildings, leaving many people temporarily on the streets. China's President Xi Jinping announced new measures to strengthen Global South cooperation and promote a new world architecture. The Chinese president assured that the country will create the Center of Studies of the Global South, where it will grant more than 100,000 scholarships for education and training through the program Young Leaders of the Global South. He also stressed the need to strengthen cooperation in the implementation of initiatives that contribute to the economic development of the countries of the Global South. In addition, Xi Jinping urged the countries of the world to promote the construction of a community with a shared future for humanity. Now on Copa America USA 2024, where Panama had a historic victory before the United States and keeps fighting for a good position in Group C. After a convincing defeat against Bolivia, the U.S. team tried to impose conditions against a team that appeared to be one of the weakest in the tournament, but in turn, they lost and endangered their place in the quarterfinals. Panama will be looking for a heroic qualification against Bolivia, the most vulnerable team of the tournament, while the United States will have a tough battle against Uruguay, one of the candidates for the title. The result in Atlanta will surely determine the future of both teams. More on Copa America, Uruguay crushed Bolivia 5-0 and is one step away from the quarterfinals of the tournament. This is the second victory for La Celeste with the goals of Pellistri,